Today on BRStv's 52 FAQ, we're talking beginner corals. Hi, I'm Ryan R.T. Turner, one of your hosts of BRStv with another episode of 52 FAQ, where each week we answer questions from our popular 52 Weeks of Reefing series. This week we answer CXKO3's question from week 39, what would be the very first coral you'd recommend for a new hobbyist? We'll offer some tips and tricks on how you can be successful with your first coral, as well as some other various species that can not only survive, but thrive under care from a beginner. Coral care can certainly seem like a very overwhelming concept for many new reefers, but in reality, as long as you perform proper maintenance, caring for corals can be fairly easy and rewarding. Generally speaking, the more demanding a coral's care requirements are, the more difficult it'll be for a new hobbyist to have success with that coral. There are a few things I'd recommend watching out for when researching potential corals for your tank. Sensitivity to water parameters, lighting, unique feeding requirements, and aggression can all play a role in the ease of care for a particular coral. For this reason, I highly recommend starting with soft corals. While it's not really an accepted scientific term, it encompasses corals that lack a calcium carbonate-based skeletal structure. For beginners, this is great. The lack of a skeleton means that the corals aren't nearly as sensitive to calcium and alkalinity, which are the two major skeletal building elements in the tank, and can tolerate temporary swings. Generally speaking, a vast majority of these corals don't need a ton of light, so they grow well under more budget-friendly options like 2 or 4 bulb T5 fixtures, some of the less expensive LEDs, and even compact fluorescent. This means that the initial investment for those looking to get into keeping corals can start off on the lower end while you build up confidence in maintaining your reef. There are a few soft corals out there that aren't the easiest to keep due to their demanding feeding habits. They're pretty rare in the hobby, but it's worth mentioning. Corals like Dendronepthia, Scleronepthia, for example, are NPS, or non-photosynthetic corals, and require serious dedication to keeping them healthy and well fed. A large portion of corals also contain stinging cells called nematocysts, and while not all are aggressive, attention needs to be paid to certain corals that can be and sting other corals around them. Managing this can be a challenge, but in most cases, soft corals don't pack that much of a punch and are pretty docile. One really important thing to consider before your first coral is you're eventually going to have an entire tank full of a variety of corals, so planning out your aquascape and choosing ones that fit in a certain spot with a specific growth pattern is key to maintaining a natural look. So what specifically do we recommend for those looking to get their feet wet? There are a few corals that are perfect candidates. One of my favorite are the easy to keep mushroom corals. Often they're extremely colorful, they reproduce quickly, and are easy to frag and trade with other reefers. They're also one of the least demanding corals in the hobby. Special consideration does need to be given to how quickly they reproduce, however, as they can quickly cover vast areas in the tank, which is great visually, but can make adding additional species later on more of a challenge. Leather corals are highly recommended for beginners as well. There are multiple growth forms, each as attractive as the last, and their leathery texture allows them to sway in the current, making a huge visual impact. As they grow, they fill in the tank very well, offering extremely natural display. Species like Sinularia, Sarcophophyton, and even Capnella or the Kenya tree coral are all great options. Pulsing Xenia are one of the most unique corals recommended for those starting out in the hobby. They're unique in the fact that they pulse their polyps, creating movement in the tank that few corals can match. They are a hair trickier to keep, however, since they seem to prefer more nutrient-rich water and decline in tanks with lower nutrients. A quick additional tip, I'd recommend leaving corals that are prone to disease or predation from parasites off your wish list until you gain a little more experience in the hobby. Corals like zoanthids, for example, are awesome and have tons of gorgeous colors and patterns, but they also have many pests and ailments that like to accompany them, which can make their care challenging. This is only a fraction of the corals available to reefers in the hobby, but they're among the easiest to care for. To learn more, check out our coral mini-series from 52 Weeks of Reefing, starting with week 35, Soft Corals, Selection, Care, and Placement. If you have any questions or tips for either us or the BRS community, share them in the comments area down below. In today's poll, we're asking, what was your first coral? Mine was a Kenya tree, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys first put in your tanks. I'll see you in the next BRS 52 FAQ, where we answer Mike Ferreira's question, what's your favorite food to use with auto feeders for fishing corals?